may not be suitable for all audiences.
Who are you?
Art 101 with Mr. Burgher.
Scholars, welcome back to another episode of Art 101 with me, Mr. Burgher, a professional artist and master educator, some say America's favorite art teacher, here to provide you with the best in art historical content. At any rate, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and do all those things. The Munchkins would much appreciate your interaction.
So, school is fine, right?
Yeah.
That's terrific. That's just great.
Today, as you know, because you clicked on the video, we're going to be looking at an artist who painted fairies. His name is Richard Dodd, and he's known as the painter of fairies. He's got a little bit of a dark side, but we'll get into it. And Hank and Anna are along to help us out, right?
Right.
All right, here we go. Richard Dodd was an English painter of the Victorian era and noted for his depictions of fairies and these supernatural sorts of subjects that had this obsessive detail included in it. During his early years, he would have this aptitude for drawing and was very well educated, skilled in art, and even won several awards for the works that he had done. He began to travel around and do some different artworks while on his travels. And in December of 1842, while traveling in Egypt, he was going up the Nile by boat when he had this very dramatic personality shift. He became delusional and violent, and it was thought that he had sunstroke, but this was not sunstroke. Side note, when Richard Dodd first began to exhibit very peculiar sorts of traits, it was believed that he had sunstroke, which is where the body's core temperature reaches a temperature of 104 degrees Fahrenheit or higher that may result in headache, altered mental state, aggression, nausea, loss of consciousness, and even more. But this was not sunstroke. This was mental illness. But mental illness that created some pretty interesting works of art.
I'm crazy, but I ain't no fool.
All fairies can live in the world, so they might be in Africa or anywhere. And they might have a different color.
And the fairy fuller's master stroke reveals a secret scene of fairies, gnomes, elves, and such like, in a playful little story of these creatures. At the time that this was painted, Dodd had been incarcerated in a lunatic asylum for almost 10 years after he had deleted his father because he believed that he was the devil in disguise, and he also believed that he was under the control of an ancient Egyptian god of death and that the Pope himself was plotting against him. And after this dastardly deed had taken place, Dodd had attempted to leave to Paris, where he was attacked by another man with a razor and was hospitalized there. Now, this painting was commissioned for the head steward of the hospital. Before Richard Dodd had gotten mentally ill with what we suspect was paranoid schizophrenia, he had already began to paint scenes very similar to this as he was drawn to paintings of fairies.
Have you ever lost a tooth? Well, the tooth fairy comes, as you know, and takes your tooth.
And in the work, we can see this obsessive attention to the details within the work itself. As a matter of fact, he would spend 9 years working on this canvas, using a very complex, multi-layered technique to give it an almost three-dimensional effect as you look at it. To go along with the painting, he also created a poem in which each of the characters is revealed and their purpose within the painting is explained. At the center of the work is the fairy feller, This is the individual about to split a large chestnut from which will be built a fairy carriage for the queen. Just right above him is the white bearded figure who appears to command him to stay his axe until a signal is given, while the other fairies look on eagerly for the carriage to materialize. The bearded man with the three-tiered crown represents the Pope, while Dodd's father is represented as the apothecary with the pestle and mortar in the right-hand corner. Some of the symbols within this are a little bit harder to decode, like the dragonfly playing the trumpet, while the fairy feller's master stroke is technically an unfinished work. The work was stopped in 1864 when Dodd was transferred to another mental hospital and he was never able to finish the work. He would be confined there until his passing 23 years later. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
If you like fairies, then like, share, and subscribe.
Like you would rather be solitaire than be with a knucklehead.